Hi everybody. You know, it's pretty well known. Wait, first I gotta introduce myself. Hi, I'm Willie from Willie's American Guitars. How's that? Good introduction, huh? I'm kind of a uke nerd, and I've been like that for a while. I've been collecting ukes since the early 90s. Back in those days, you could buy a uke at a flea market, a Gibson, a Martin, for 50, 100 bucks. It's amazing how many deals back in the 90s. And back then, when I was playing ukulele, a lot of people made fun of it with Tiny Tim and his whole shtick, tiptoe through the tulips, you know, but Tiny Tim really left a legacy of a music historian behind him. It passed away here in town, and he was a kind of a brilliant guy, because all of us have heard of him, of course. This is show business, but the ukulele is a cousin to the guitar in very many ways. And you can see, obviously, the shape. It's a little tiny thing, but also, more importantly, the chords you do on uke. So I tell a lot of guitar players that have never played uke, or people that want to play guitar, do you know the chords are the same? If you were to play a D chord on a ukulele, or an F chord that you'd normally play, your fingers go where the F chord would, it still makes music. So a C chord or a D chord is actually G, so you count 4 up. So you play regular guitar, Chuck Berry. Right? You following along? So that's the thing about ukulele, is if you start playing ukulele, you can relate to guitar fairly quickly. George Harrison played ukulele. Some of our customers that bought ukuleles from us, George Harrison had bought ukuleles from us. Billy Joel from Green Day has bought ukuleles from us. Pete Townsend has bought ukulele and tenor guitars tuned like ukuleles from us, and they use them as a writing tool. I'm just going to say, I'm going to do a video here on Gibson ukuleles. But first, I just want to say, this has been here a long time, and this is, look at the wood on that. This is a Martin 2K, K stands for koa, so it's made of koa, and this is a concert. So there's regular sopranos, and then there's concerts, which are a slightly longer scale length and giving you more room. Concerts are probably the rarest ukes. This one in particular sounds gorgeous, and honestly, it's been here for a while. Like, why? It looks beautiful. It's a really nice piece of koa. Cool. Now, I am reaching out to you uke nerds. You know who you are. The rest of you, go home. It's all right. This is a Gibson ukulele. I'm going to show you some stuff from my uke collection. And this is a Style 1. All through Hawaiian music, there is always Style O's or 1s, and then 2s, 3s, 4s. In Hawaiian guitars, you play with a steel bar. The Weisenborns had a plainly, their most best-selling one without any detail or trim is typically an O or a 1. This is a Gibson 1, and their best-selling ukulele, there's no piping around it, and by that, here's a 3. You can see that there, and the piping around the body, front and back, and then detail around the neck. Now, I'll get back to this in just a second. These are still remarkably great sounding ukuleles. Big problem with ukuleles is the tuners, as they go and they compress. So you're going to tighten these tuners up, and sometimes the gasket in here will fail, and sometimes the screw strips, and you need to get new tuners. They are now readily available. So that is a standard Style 1. I'm going to show you a Gibson Style 2. Now with the 2, you get a bigger dot for the fingerboard. You get the binding along the body, a little more detail in the sound hole, and the binding on the back. Anytime they use extra binding, they're using a better wood. It's kind of a rule in guitar making. And I've said this before, people, you know, they don't polish a turd. They don't put a lot of trim and detail into bad wood. It kind of doesn't matter. Gibson always used good wood back in the day. This is the Gibson. You can tell that is an earlier model when it says the and it's in scripted logo. This is more of a 40s Gibson, and it has the non-scripted logo. And this is a 2, and it's a beautiful thing to look at, and it's fun just to look at all the details and the lacquer and the old wood and the details in the old wood and how they joined that underneath the heel, the cut of the fingerboard, the cut of the headstock, which is actually thinner here and fatter here, and all the details associated. Brazilian rosewood, of course, because that's all anybody would use. And then you got to the rare 3s. These were expensive. By the time you got to this, you were a serious ukulele player, and you can see that putting that in there, if any of you are woodworkers, you know that's really a difficult thing to do. So to see a 1 and a 2 and a 3 together, that's rare. This is part of my personal collection. I love these things. I honestly don't pull them out and play them very much. This too is the Gibson, so it's an earlier one from the heyday in the 20s. And then you can see the pearl inlaid headstock, the pearl inlay on the fingerboard. You can see all the binding on the back and the detail. And then imagine laying in all of this binding around the sound hole. It's really gorgeous, and the binding is also multi-bound. There is 5 layers of binding. Back in the day, that was done 1 layer at a time. And these are really nice pieces of wood, probably wood remnants, but old wood, old growth, 700-800-year-old trees that were dried for 20 years and then put into a kiln. And these are a piece of American history. In the world of ukuleles, it really is about Martin and Gibson. There are other makers, there are new makers that make magnificent stuff. At Willie's, we only carry the better stuff. You can find a $99 ukulele not somewhere else. You can find it everywhere else. And that's good. They're a great, cheap musical instrument. But if you want something nicer, better detail, more complexity, a lot of times you're going to get into a vintage thing. Now, I have this for sale. This was part of my collection. I think the Gibson tenors are perhaps the finest ukulele out there. I eventually replaced the tuners, and these are Waverly ukulele tuners, and I think they're the best tuners there are for ukulele, and this is a 2 for all practical purposes. They made this either a 1 or 2. I've never seen a level 3 tenor ukulele from Gibson. And I might point out, Paul McCartney's on tour. And if you click on Paul McCartney's website, you'll see him holding a Gibson tenor ukulele. And he does his little shtick in tribute to George Harrison playing something. He does it much better. So this is up for sale. This, I'm pretty firm on the price. This is $12.50. This is a TU2. It does have these replaced tuners. It does come with the original case, and it's just a gorgeous walnut old wood ukulele. I'm guessing this is 40s. It could be late 30s, early 40s. By the 50s, the uke craze was over. And then it came back again in the late 50s. Great musical instrument. There you go. That's what this video is about. For you nerds, I was just showing you the 1, the 2, and the 3. It's kind of fun to see them. I know. I'll hold it up again. There you go. All right. Stop in.